Hello dear viewers, and welcome to the ancient dwarven hold of our ancestors. I am Balladorf, the old rambling dwarf. Welcome to this World of Warcraft channel that aims to reveal the history of Azeroth. Today I shall be talking about the story of the infamous Blackrock Mountain. Just before we delve deep, dear viewers, if you like the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Blackrock Mountain is a large and foreboding feature of the eastern kingdoms of Azeroth. Its huge girth sits between the Burning Steppes to the south and the Searing Gorge to the north. It looms heavy over all around. Such an imposing structure, it can be seen from Stormwind itself. To cover the great number of happenings over the course of its history, it is probably a good idea, as is usually the case, to start at the beginning and the creation of the Dark Mountain. Several hundred years before the opening of the Dark Portal, a civil war known as the Warofthethreehammers was fought between the three great dwarven clans, the Bronzebeards, the Wildhammers and the Dark Irons. There is history there in and of itself, but what we need speak of now is the culmination of the final confrontation where the Dark Irons had attempted to defeat both the Bronzebeards and the Wildhammers at the same time with two large armies. When it seemed defeat was inevitable, the ruler of the Dark Irons, Sorcerer Thane Thaurissan, ruthlessly attempted the conjuring of a great being that would vanquish the armies of the Bronzebeards and the Wildhammers. This great being was the mighty and rageful Firelord himself, Ragnaros. This invocation that summoned the great elemental ruler of fire caused huge upheaval and destruction to the surrounding Red Ridge Mountains, which killed Thaurissan and his Council of Seven, along with many other clansmen. In its wake, the rise of Ragnaros had now wrought the great black volcanic mountain towards the sky and decimated swathes of land, now known as the Burning Steppes and Searing Gorge. Instead of defeating the enemies of the Dark Irons, Thaurissan's spell spelt not only the end for his armies in the war against the other clans, but the doom of his people under the burning fist of the Firelord. He enslaved the Dark Iron clan and took control of the lower parts of the mountain from his lair inside the molten core. The Dark Iron dwarves delved deeper into the mountain, creating a great network of halls and habitations, now at the whim of their new master. So, dear viewers, as you can see, it wasn't simply a jutting of two great plates of earth colliding together and bringing forth a great mass, but rather a destructive fiery birth of a great and black rock summit. It was wrought from battle and destruction, fittingly so, as it would play host to many more conflicts in the coming years. Now we move forward to the coming of the Horde through the Dark Portal, ushered forth by the Dark Titan-riddled mind of the last Guardian, Medivh. The Shadow Council, a dark sect loyal to the evil warlock Gul'dan and ultimately the Burning Legion, took up residence in the upper halls, including the two-headed ogre Cho'Gall. Their location was eventually discovered by the new dominant war chief of the Horde, Ogrim Doomhammer. They were mostly slaughtered except for Gul'dan and seemingly Cho'Gall as well. Essentially, Doomhammer sought to destroy the corruption of the Horde, of which he saw as originating from the Shadow Council. There was some honour within the Horde which he wished to secure. We will keep on with what actually occurred around Blackrock Mountain itself, rather than going further into the greater story of Warcraft, with orcs and humans and Medivh and everything else, lest this video be ridiculously long. After the sacking of Stormwind at the end of the First War, and the apparent defeat of the Shadow Council by Ogrim Doomhammer, the Orcish Horde took up full-time residence in the upper reaches of the mountain. In an apparent coincidence, the name of Blackrock Mountain itself predates the coming of the Blackrock clan, who was now led by the new warchief. From his base in the mountain, Doomhammer sent forth his armies in the Second War between the Horde and the human kingdoms of the Alliance, this time involving other races like the Trolls and Ogres for the Horde and Elves and Dwarves for the side of the Alliance. One of the final and probably most important battles of this Second War was the siege of Blackrock Spire by the combined forces of the Alliance under the leadership of the mighty human hero Anduin Lothar, the same man that would be Anduin Wyn's namesake. In the culmination of the Second War, the Orcs were set for a defeat against the wrath of the Alliance, including the Knights of the Silver Hand and many other valiant heroes. Although Doomhammer sensed the end of the Horde, he came up with a plan for a final attempt at clutching victory, and so sallied forth from the spire straight towards the human commander. What followed was a great one-on-one duel between Doomhammer and Lothar. Doomhammer's plan had been to best the leader of the Alliance and cause a wave of panic and despair through the ranks of their army. He succeeded in finally defeating Lothar after a titanic confrontation, but he did not contend with the tenacity and resolve of the humans, with one of their number, Turelion the Paladin, rallying the Alliance forces and, instead of their own defeat, rose up and vanquished the Warchief and the Horde. They would proceed to take Doomhammer and many of the orcs as prisoners, interring them into camps, sowing the seeds of the story of Thrall, son of Durotan and future Warchief of the Horde. After the defeat of the Orcish Horde at the siege of Blackrock Spire and the final major battle of the conflict at the Dark Portal, the humans declared peace, and there was relative calm in the Eastern Kingdoms as the survivors sought to rebuild from the carnage brought about by the rampaging Horde. This was not completely the end of the Horde in Blackrock Mountain though. Vestiges of various clans led by the sons of the original Warchief Blackhand made their way to Blackrock Spire and took up residence once again. These sons, Dalrend and Maim, were co-leaders of the Blacktooth Grin clan, with Dalrend taking up the mantle of Warchief for the remnants of the Blackrock clan and overall leader of the new Dark Horde. This Dark Horde sought to continue the ways of the Orcs in the first two wars and bring destruction to the forces of the Alliance. It was made up not only of the Orcs themselves, but a cunning mix of Trolls and Ogres, including the Smolderthorn Trolls and the Spirestone Ogres, led by High Lord Omok. The Dark Horde was something of a mockery of the original Horde, featuring a similar cross-section of races, but paling in strength and power. Like Doomhammers, the Dark Horde took up residence in the higher reaches of the mountain, apparently forging something of a truce with the Dark Iron Dwarves as they delved deeper into its bowels. Under direction of his father, Deathwing, the great black dragon Nefarian took control of the Dark Horde and set the high reaches of the Spire as his base of operations. The corrupted aspect of Earth, Neltharion, now known as Deathwing, the aspect of death, is another great figure in the lore of Warcraft, and worthy of a video himself. In short, he was the master of the Black Dragon flight driven mad, with two of his offspring being the aforementioned Nefarian and the broodmother Onyxia. With the Dark Horde under his control, along with the other members of the Black Flight, he began a war of dominance for the mountain with the Dark Iron Dwarves. This is rather interesting, as Deathwing was corrupted by and under the sway of the Old Gods for quite some time before the end of the Second War. Ultimately, this likely meant his entire flight was as well. So fighting against the Dwarves, who were themselves under the sway of a servant of the Old Gods, being Ragnaros, seems a bit pointless. Perhaps Nefarian had his own, yes, nefarious schemes and goals that differed from his father. It is not really known for sure how and why, but at some point Maim was killed in battle with the Dark Irons. But control of the Great Mountain was not his sole ambition. Nefarian turned the halls of Blackrock into gigantic laboratories to be used in grisly experiments on members of the other dragonflights, with the intention of creating a new chromatic dragonflight, infused with powers of each of the different colours of dragon. Indeed, Nefarian was truly a callous and evil being, and many innocent drakes were sacrificed in his experiments. During this time, the son of the original Emperor of the Dark Irons, Daegrin Thaurissan, kidnapped the daughter of the King of Ironforge, Moira. She eventually fell in love with him, and together they had a child, Daegrin II. Daegrin I is ultimately killed by adventurers sent by Magni Bronzebeard to do away with him and rescue his daughter. Languishing in one of the Emperor's dungeons was a Marshal of Stormwind known as Windsor. He is rescued from his cell by adventurers and goes on to reveal that one of the advisors to Lord Bulver and Prince Anduin, Lady Katrana Prestor, is in fact Onyxia, the broodmother of the Black Dragonflight. Mighty heroes like Galandor the Brave venture forth into the molten core under the mountain and home to the Great Lord of Fire. Ragnaros is ultimately defeated and struck down back to the plane of fire, for although he was defeated in the mortal plane, he can only truly be defeated in the realm of flame. The Spire of Blackrock is visited by the red dragon Veilstrez, sent by the Dragon Queen herself, Alexstrasza. He is tasked with putting an end to the plans of Nefarian and aids adventurers in ascending to the Upper Spire. In the Upper Spire, adventurers do battle with orcs and dragonkin and the leader of the orcish Dark Horde, Dalrend, who has been gifted a chromatic drake known as Gith. He was defeated by members of the Alliance and the Horde. Sadly, the once pure-hearted Velestraz fails in his quest to defeat the Great Black Dragon and finally succumbs to his corruption. He is solemnly defeated by adventurers. Nefarian is ultimately defeated by a force of adventurers, with his head, alongside that of his sisters, being hung in the capital city, providing great inspiration to the heroes of the land. But this is not the end of the events at Blackrock Mountain. After the resurfacing of Deathwing the Destroyer, Nefarian was resurrected by cultists loyal to the old gods and once again took up residence in the Fiery Peak. He continued with his gross experiments to create new types of dragons and succeeded in resurrecting his sister Onyxia to fight once more. Nefarian is ultimately killed by noble heroes and, along with his long-suffering sibling, is finally put to rest for good. But the mountain is not known to linger long in times of quietude, and during the invasion of the Iron Horde from a strange timeline of Draenor, the Upper Spire is occupied by their forces and used as a launching site of a weapon to destroy Stormwind. This scheme is put to an end by adventurers from the Alliance and the Horde. Sometime later, the Dark Irons, under the leadership of Moira Thaurissan, have officially joined the Alliance, with Shadowforge City under the mountain now becoming their home base. Times have been quiet a little while since then, but the mountain isn't known to be idle for too long. Who knows what the next happening will be at this great and fiery peak. And there we go, dear viewers, my first video of the channel about the lore and backstory of the infamous Blackrock Mountain. I hope you enjoyed learning about such a font of lore for Warcraft goings on, and thanks for watching this far. If there is another subject you wish me to talk about, then please leave a comment down below. Join me next time when we delve into some more history of the lands of Azeroth.